We're live.
We live.
Am I under your login or mine? Oh, I'm under yours. Okay. That can't be right. Am I dreaming?
Oh, we got 65 people in the hizzy. Gain. Leg up, gang, gang. Hey, y'all. Good evening, everybody. E.T. Hey, hi up. Hey, Susan. Hey, Hope. Hey, Sammy D. Janelle. Nadine. Landon. Lloyd. Mary. Noor.
What's up, George G? Big G?
Landon. Lamont.
Where Ola at? Hey, Susan.
Pippi Chu. What up, gang? Redonda Thomas. Man, appreciate that.
Hey, Sammy D. Is you live? Hey, Greco. What's up, Craig? You ain't got to lie, Craig.
82 people in the house. Man, I miss you guys too. Yeah, y'all gotta bang my line tonight, man. Y'all gotta put that out there, man. Bang my line, for real. Let these admins know, man, I need my line banged real expeditiously.
Oh, my.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't sound good.
We've been doing a lot of homework. Yeah. A lot of things. We did a Patreon on Monday. So shout out to Patreon. Really, really in-depth look at what's going on. And some things I didn't really feel comfortable saying because of some emails I got. You know, threatening emails. But, you know, whatever, man. It's all love. I don't really fade the hate, but you know what? When I get agency, 3 other agencies, you know, shouting out the quit what you doing, you know what I'm saying? That's when I say, you know what, man, I'm good. Shout out Patreon. We got 22 people in the house. You ready to start this music?
Go ahead.
Let's do the damn thing.
Hey, no.
Bam! Woo!
I didn't check this out.
Aloha. What up, Craig? It's my brother there. Jeffrey Doc, that's my people. Mary, that's my people. Colin, that's my people. Robert, what's up, baby? Gerardo, that's my people. Aja, that's my people. Landon, what's the deal? Paul, what's the deal? Susan Sam, that's a hitter. Capo status, for real. Josie, good evening. Man.
Happy birthday, King. I got 2 great nephews named King.
For real?
Yeah.
Happy birthday, King. For real. Shout out.
Dope name.
It's a dope name, for real. If I could reinvent myself and start myself up with a new name, it would be King. For real. How are y'all doing tonight? I hope everybody's doing well tonight. in lieu of everything that's happening right now, I hope everybody is safe, sound. If you have a person that's in the service right now, I want to take a few seconds just to give you a brief moment of silence, and I'm going to go into our tirade, but after we do our introductions. But I want to give a very brief moment of silence for all the men and women that are in the armed services that are out there in the sandbox right now, protecting our civil liberties. I just want to say thank you. Okay.
Hey James, where you been?
Man, bang my line. Where y'all been, man?
James is out there.
Okay, let's get to the news after we do our introductions. Miss BB, do you want to do our introductions, please, real quick?
I'm April Beebe.
And I am Mr. Brando! And welcome to the reinstatement of the Iraqi Dinar IQD. Wow. Hasn't a lot happened since Thursday?
Too much.
Now,
I mean, I was glued to the TV last night. I was just like, oh my God.
I stick to it. I stand by it. What I said on Thursday was exactly what I stand by at this very moment. I have a new affinity for Donald J. Trump. I think what he did was absolutely necessary. And by him eliminating the ultimate terrorist on the planet, every president's done it for the last 3 or 4 presidents, whether it be Osama bin Laden, whether it be Saddam Hussein. I think President Donald J. Trump solidified himself in the book of presidents based off his behavior within the last couple days. Now, I also think that people have to understand the value of the asset that he ascertained. Mm-hmm. And I don't think people really understood when I went live. It wasn't just to toast up and be like, hey, it's a party and blah, blah, blah. It's inspirational. He killed one of probably the most evil men on earth. There's probably a few more that are just like him out there, but he killed one of the most evil men on earth. And rest in peace, you rat bastard. And I don't care about hiding my feelings behind that. You are an evil person. You killed Americans. You killed Yemens. You killed Iraqis, Iranians. You're an evil person. There's a special place in hell for you. And you know what? When you go and meet Allah, I don't think it'll be the same 40 virgins and saints that you think you'll find. Now, with that being said, I think we have to get back to a greater plot about what's going on in Iraq right now. I think people really have to really go through and really think about what's happening in Iraq, right? Mm-hmm. So let's go back to the terrorist plot, which was the American infiltration of the Iran Revolutionary Guard, right? Mm-hmm. We speculated on our other private chat that we knew that somehow, some way, that there was information gathered from one zone to another zone, right? He was picked up. Sprinter van went left, Sprinter van went right, and guess what happened? Mm-hmm. Boom shakalaka, the asset was harvested, and guess what? We are where we are today. Now, a lot of people will sit back and say, well, who's the asset? I'm not going to reveal that. I don't know who it is. I speculate who it is, but I venture to guess if you join Patreon, you can listen to the whole hour interview. We talked about it in depth, and I thought it was very interesting because we both came up with valid points, but if you saw my Facebook post or my, if you've been checking for my Twitter lately, I've been very vocal who I know who the rats are, and I wish everybody would tag, we the people are the largest bloc. You know what I'm saying? Because if you believe in freeing Iraq, then you have to believe in hiring a new PM and getting free elections underway. Because if you believe in that, then you do believe in the sovereignty of the country, and you also believe in the reinstatement of the Iraqi dinar. Now, if we're going to get to the news, right, there's not a lot of new news. If you were staying tuned last night, if you want, can I give 2 minutes of my personal observation of last night? Iran's response to us killing my response to the Operation Martyr Soleimani. Can I give my response to that?
Go ahead.
My response to that is that Iran came out weak as hell. I'm gonna come out and say that to you guys right now. If I can say this to you guys, if and this is the truth, President Trump punked Iran. He punked him. He won. Hands down, he won. Based upon what we know about right now, even with subsequent news articles coming out that said that they bombed the Green Zone, if it is true that they shot out 15 ballistic missiles, and remember just a few months ago, they shot out ballistic missiles that went to Saudi Arabia, and they were dead on their target, and they destroyed oil fields, and then all of a sudden they can't hit the broadside of a barn. That's what you call, I don't want no smoke, Iran. You shot off after the funeral processions on the third day of your homage to your warlord. Mm-hmm. You shot off, and guess what happened? You couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Now, that's funny.
But you don't think that's intentional?
No. They don't want any smoke. I told everybody they don't want any smoke.
I don't know.
With that being said...
But that foreign minister kept repeating the same thing. Like, if you'll leave.
Well, I'll give you guys a little bit of insight. If you don't know it by now, 80% of the whole GOI is Shia. Okay? Mm-hmm. The whole people that went to the funeral processions, the people that were involved in attacking the embassy. And by the way, the guy that was killed in that terrorist that was killed, was also the gentleman who was in charge of Benghazi. Okay? Mm-hmm. So he was trying to create himself another Benghazi. Okay? Mm-hmm. The attack that went off on that Air Force base was his attack. He just didn't pull off himself. Rest in hell. Now, I will say this to say this. These guys gotta understand that if you hurt an American asset or you hurt someone that's for our country, they're going to do something back to you. Now, because they shot off rockets into the desert and didn't hit anything after they strategically hit something in Saudi Arabia months ago, and they've hit tankers and they shot down drones, now they can't hit a Air Force base the size of a city? You have to look back and say, at one point it was the Americans that feared Iran. We didn't fear them, I don't think. I think we were worried about them. What's Iran going to do? What's Iran going to do? Mm-hmm. I think for once Iran woke up and said, what's President Trump going to do? This man is capable of doing anything if he killed General Soleimani. And I got to give him credit. My hat's off to him, and I have a newfound respect for our president based upon that information right there. And that he took sole credit for it. I don't care about the repercussions from the Democratic Party or any other political party. I don't claim any of you. But what I am going to say to you is this. The brass kahunas that man had to have to make that call after decisions he had made after they had shot down that drone, not to harm human life, not only to me showed intelligence, it showed empathy for people, it showed a caring for the Iranian people as a whole, and it also showed someone who gas. It's called give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Mm. And I commend him for that.
I think it's his team that surrounds him, though.
And shout them out also.
Because Oliver North pointed that out last night on CNN, too.
Yeah. I give him all the credit in the world.
And the reason why I say that, during that press conference, he almost said something, and, they were like, hey.
Right.
Because he was like about ready to, he was turning.
Well, he was unleashing the whole clan.
He was going from orange to red.
Right.
And Melania just sitting there. I'm like, get your husband, calm him down. But they had somebody else that go because he was upset.
Well, and rightfully so. If someone attacks, when people have attacked you, I've gone on the offensive, and that's not even him.
But that's what I'm saying. The thing is, he is the president of the free world. You got to be a little more diplomatic, and that's why the people that surround him. Who was that? Was that Pence? Who was that? Oh, you can't say that. Remember?
Well, it was one of those. I think it was that general. Remember that said, "We're not trying to harm their shrines or religious shrines, whatever.
Because he follows up. Oh, we've got to play nice. We got to remember.
And you know what? And yeah, you got to say that. But if someone took out their mosque,
and the thing is, a person in power in his position normally, right? He's a businessman.
Right.
He's used to off with their head, like, hey,
right?
You're fired. I mean, he trademarked the phrase, "You're fired," right? So he's used to making moves, calling orders, calling shots,
and it's the shots are fired. Boom, boom, boom,
right.
boom. He's making shot calls.
He's not used to being diplomatic.
Or curbing his language to fit the media. Mm-hmm. And I think people got to understand that, you know what? When the bullets are whizzing by your head, sometimes you're going to say things that maybe aren't public opinion. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Because you are the leader of the free world. I've said that before. You, as a CEO, as a leader, you're going to make decisions that are not of popular demand, but you're making those decisions based upon the populace or those that you lead. And with that, I'm going to get to the news, okay?
All right.
Okay. The Prime Minister's Information Office, shortly after midnight, we received an official oral message from the Islamic Republic from Solomon that the Operation Martyr Osam Soleimani had begun. So basically what had happened was, after midnight, right before the strikes had happened, the Islamic Guard contacted Mahdi. Mm-hmm. And said, hey, look, we're going to bomb this base. Word had gotten to him, word had gotten to the Americans. People had been moved around. They bombed that base, but they shot those missiles off in the desert, more as a show of force, but more than they don't want no smoke, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But the whole point of this was, why do they call Mahdi? Mahdi, Mr. Potato Head, is probably one of the most wretched of Iraqis that we have encountered since I thought I endorsed him a year ago when he took office. This dude is a pure Iranian puppet. He's an idiot. And Sauter, he flip-flops more than most YouTubers. He changed sides just today and said, well, you know what? We don't want the United Coalitions out. We want Iran out today. Oh. Sauter is about as helpful as 3 nipples on Daisy.
Oh, Lord.
Now, with that said, you gotta understand that the people that are in power are of Shia. Shias are the dominant religious sect that are in Iran, Iraq, and in other pockets of Islam that are frequenting the political arena of the areas that we want to see a benefit thereof. Okay? So, don't mind me criticizing the group. I'm not criticizing the religion, so please don't hold me accountable for that, okay? What I'm saying is I don't agree with the extremist point of view. I just disagree with the group, okay? Perhaps the most important advance made by the Mesopotamians was the inventions of writing by the Sumerians. You got to go here to learn more about the Sumerian writing. With the invention of writing came the first recorded laws by the Hammurabi Code, as well as the first major piece of literature called the Epic Tale of Gilgamesh and the Shell, Very Prosperous People. Parliament representing the Sumerian popular will news. Of the National Coalition, Ilaloi considered on Tuesday that determining the future of foreign forces should it left to the parliament that represent the popular will and the strong government. Alawi said in a tweet, determining the future of the foreign forces should leave parliament representing the true popular will and the strong government that puts the safety and the interest of the Iraqi and its people above all considerations. Now, I told everybody on social media that there was no way that under Mahdi that they could make a vote to vote the United Coalitions or the Americans out or pass the budget. And I stand by that. It's unconstitutional. If they couldn't vote him back in once he was out, he cannot pass foreign policy and he cannot pass the budget. And he hasn't yet been able to do it. And no one can dispute that. Now, the important thing to note behind that is, once you see the budget, you can see allocation. Now, With that allocation, we know that the federal council is working. The federal council is the one that I told you we want to see the country become decentralized. Once the country becomes decentralized, now each province, each county, each sect, each city can start to work off its own independent budget and not be so enslaved to the government as well as other entities to depend on its working habits. So if a budget's not passed, it can still be working. And that can go forward from this day and forward for many days. That's like us. If the government stops because we're federated, everything still gets paid because we have a decentralized government. It makes sense. Does that make sense to you? That's what Iraq's trying to achieve. Does it make sense? Now, if they don't get what the protesters want on Friday, they anticipate 1 million people to enter. Now, they've been having between 250 to 350 to 450,000 people in the square. If the people don't get what they want on Friday, they've already announced that they're going to have at least 1 million marches in the square. They are 100% ready to ask for the Chinese reforms. Now, with those Chinese reforms, it's the activation of the private sector, okay? That was $500 billion. Now, how are they ready to activate the private sector in this ultimate form of turmoil? But they've already said today that they're 100% ready to enact the private sector. You gotta understand from where I'm coming from. In all this turmoil, they're saying, you know what? We're ready to launch the Chinese reforms. With that, that launches the private sector. That was $500 billion. That's a lot of money. That's USD. That's not dinar. Okay? The Federal Service Council is active. And they have projects that they're working on, and they are urging them to handle them with excellence. And they're signing off on those acts because they are a decentralized government. Now, with that, what we are hoping for is that on Friday, they will enact, and I'll give you guys a freebie. They want to hire a Sunni, a Kurd, or a Christian, or a liberal, not a Shia. If they hire a Shia to be prime minister, you, me, everybody, we got to scratch our heads because we are in deep, deep, deep trouble. Because they are susceptible to corruption.
Of course. I've always heard they're bad people.
Well, I'm just saying.
That's what I've heard. Oh.
You want to ask a question?
I do.
Go ahead.
May I?
Sure.
Did Iran just attack the Green Zone?
Supposedly rockets could have been launched, but I mean, they can't hit a base that's as big as a city. Them shooting rockets at a Green Zone is not that bad.
What's the purpose?
I mean, but that's Iran's whole purpose, is to be disruptive. They're not really doing anything. They're shooting up. Listen, Iran doesn't want a war. They can't fight a war.
What was that Oliver North said we should do?
Go out and bomb their oil wells. Mm-hmm. Go out and bomb their ports. Mm-hmm. Go out and bomb their what do you say? Their
basically cripple them.
Basically, their strategic zone.
And that he also said that they don't own the power we possess. Right.
Correct. You know what? I always said that if we invaded Iran, it should be a war that is fought on sea and in air, not on land. Because that would be a worse war that we could fight than Vietnam. Because you don't know who the enemy is. Everybody looks the same. Mm-hmm. So go in there and bomb the hell out of them. Just bomb after bomb after bomb. 24 hours of bombs. And then you know what? The people don't want the mullahs there anyway. Mm-hmm. They're ready for a regime change. So it's not a big deal.
Right.
And then you put in place who you want and we start over. But President Trump is trying to have an act of diplomacy and say, hey, look, if you change your ways, you can stay in power. But we've got to see some changes. You got to act appropriately. And that's what these guys got to do. Right? Okay.
Got another question.
Go ahead.
Sammy D wants to know, did they get knocked out of the 2% comply Iraq?
Well, you got to argue this question, Sammy. Who implies the 2%? It's an artificial rate suppressed by an auction that's artificially implemented by the CBI to artificially subside a whole artificially implemented private sector. So, yeah, but it'll equal itself out as soon as things stabilize in the region.
Are they
I
trying?
get it, but I know what you're saying, but I don't really put too much compliance into that.
Are they trying to enact the federal and financial law?
Both. They voted on both, and that's what I got to see happen.
Okay.
I told people on Patreon the number one occupying troops that are in Iraq is the United States of America. Number two was Iran, and then it went down a list of others. But the whole idea that I tried to explain to everybody when everybody was going into panic mode was that if you can't pass a budget, you can't pass foreign policy. So the future of foreign forces should leave Parliament representing the will of the people. We know that. Its basic reflection means that before you make any decision, you should first go to the people for its reflection, and let the people decide to select a government that puts in a direction of that of which truly represents the people. And that's a direct quote from Parliament. What we truly know is that Iran truly wants the Islamism movement to go forward in the region, whether it be Iraq, whether it be Syria, Lebanon, Kenya, whatever. We also know that the Christians, the Kurds, the Sunnis are our friends right now. We need for the Americans to somehow empathize, endow themselves to those groups, and let them know more so that we're here for them more than we've been for them, more than ever, and allow them to have an opportunity to voice their opinion, not just through the free elections. Because see, the only thing these Shias are holding on to is once this new PM comes in place, because think about it, he or she's going to be a Sunni, a Christian, or liberal. They're going to look around and say, you people aren't like me. I'm going to get rid of all you people. I'm going to hire people who are just like me. You know what I'm saying? I want people around me that are forward thinking, that are not like you. So these people are holding on to job placement, which is basically telling you that they're holding on to security, which is basically telling you that the people have told them in 4 days they've got to stop. Yesterday was 3, today is 2, tomorrow is 1, Friday is D-Day. Now, we know that Iraq's been a busy little beaver because when they had that visit from Russia, the true meaning from that meaning from Russia was for them to buy the S-400 Air Force Defense System. Now, I wanted Iraq to take more of a diplomatic stance like Saudi Arabia does and buys their air defense systems from us, but it seems that they were reportedly capable of engaging up to 36 targets. Obviously, they didn't buy them because the Air Force bases were attacked, but I just thought it interesting that they sought out Russia to buy that defense system and not us. During all the turmoil, when Iraq threatened to make American troops in the United Coalition get out of Iraq, Trump also reviewed the standby agreement and realized that with him pulling out of Iraq, it would have left Iraq in a worse position than it would have been when we invaded Iraq after the fall of the Saddam region. That's why we didn't have to leave. If you look back at the standby agreement and read it, then you would truly understand that we didn't have to leave Iraq by their will. They had to abide by a mutual contract, and by our own definition, we knew that leaving them was going to leave them worse off than they were.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Jay Lee is slow, so Jay Lee keep asking, are we live? So I'm going to have to put him on Front Street. Jay Lee, we live. I keep saying that. Now, next thing, he asking about the green zone. Jay Lee, now you're going to have to replay because we don't repeat ourselves. He already talked about the green zone. Okay. I'm sorry. I just had to do that because he keep doing that.
Well, just put Jay Lee in timeout. This ain't the Jay Lee show.
No, Jay Lee a little slow.
Okay. I think at a very telling point as I conclude on the news that when one contractor was hit, casualties were made, President Trump made an immediate appearance on the news to say what his thoughts were on the situation. By him taking the night off and respectively coming back on air this morning, it was telling to say that, you know what, nothing had happened. It was also telling to say that when President Trump thought that when the American and the United coalitions were going to be removed from Iraq, that he leaked out that if you do, we'll simply put you under sanctions. And guess what? They complied. I'm not here to say that I think America's in 100% control of Iraq, but I am here to say to you that I think that I did not give our president, Donald J. Trump, enough credit for scaring the crap out of Iraq into making them comply with his wishes. Now, if he could just make them hire a new PM and get rid of the GOI as it stands right now, except for a few people, I think we would all be better set. That is the news, and now I will take some questions live. So if you want to call me, call me.
Call in, Jay Lee. Call in, Jay Lee.
Jay Lee wants to call.
Jay Lee needs some help.
Well, tell Jay Lee to call.
Because we live. We live. This ain't no replay.
Mr. B, what do you know of what was on the plane that went down in Iran? I don't know. I've heard that it was passengers. I don't know.
Yeah, and I heard it was a Southwest plane.
Yeah, I hope not. People, they shut down all the airspace over the Middle East last night, so I don't know why people were still flying over it. Mm-hmm. Is the green zone anything like the friend zone? Yeah, it's supposed to be a friendly zone. What happened on D-Day, Mr. B? I don't know. In your opinion? Mm-hmm. Long live Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. 1 million man march. Yeah, that's going to happen on Friday or Saturday. That's going to be awesome.
What is?
A 1 million man march if they don't elect a PM. I wouldn't mind see Alawi being enacted, honestly, if Alawi was PM again. Or a PM in power again.
I doubt Iraq have the balls to stop.
You doubt Iraq has the balls to stop what?
Where was that? I lost it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, bang my line. Bang my line. I want to hear all your Iranian, if you don't get out of Iranian compliance, because I have an answer for that. I want to hear all of your, they're slow acting and blah, 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 all your front. I want to hear all these questions right now because I have an answer for all of it. If you haven't watched the definitive answer by the United States about Iran, if you haven't watched the 360 turnabout, not only from Sadr, but Bahram Saleh, who almost slapped Nuri al-Maliki the other day in the meeting, if you hadn't seen the way that Halabusi was off camera begging the GOI not to kick the American coalition forces out, then I don't want to hear you guys talk about Iran anymore and their influence because those guys are on their way out.
Did you already answer Sammy D with the 15 days?
I'm not counting down 15. I know that's what Sadr said, but I don't think
for new government.
Yeah, that's what Sadr said. Sadr's not really in a position of power since his website just got hacked and they draped the American flag over his face and called him the ultimate thief. That, remember, was on my Patreon. Mm-hmm. Traitor Cleric. Check out my Patreon. It's dope.
Is it true the China trade deal is signed and this is all a smoke screen?
Nah, because China trade deal ain't got nothing to do with Iraq.
And then didn't they delay signing it?
Yeah.
I think they were supposed to come out on the 13th.
Yeah, and they ain't signed it, and currency's not even the first phase of the China trade deal. It's all about agriculture. And until I see it, I don't care what that website says. I've seen it in print in 4 papers. It ain't the truth. You gotta show me something different than a one-off. Patreon's dope. You should join it.
Wait, and I said the video of the plane going down as fast as it did. The shadiness about it. Yeah, did they shoot the plane down?
I don't speculate on planes getting shot down. You know why? Because I don't know. Honestly, it's something I can't prove. I mean, I could speculate on a whole bunch of things I can't prove.
There was an earthquake over there?
In Puerto Rico, there was an earthquake.
No, but there was an earthquake over there
in the Middle East, too, yeah. But I mean, they could say those were seismic measures that...
It was just interesting, the timing of everything. And I'm not even talking about the Puerto Rico part, but over there in Iran, there was one. I think it wasn't that big. It was like a tremor. It was like a 4.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Hello, Anthony.
Yes.
You're live.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
What's up, baby?
Hey, April VV.
Hey.
How y'all doing?
I'm living, baby. How you doing?
Living large. About to be living real large as soon as this thing get off the seat. But question.
Shoot.
If I heard you correctly, you said that the standby agreement states that the U.S. must leave Iraq in better shape than when Saddam was in power?
No, it has to leave better shape than when we invaded it. So when we invaded it was right after the Saddam invasion. So we have to. That's a deemed responsibility. So if you understand contracts the way I do, that's a split decision.
Right. But you know what else that says to me? That says, okay, so before we invaded Iraq was doing pretty good. They had a 3+ rate, right?
No, well, if you look at Saddam's terror of rapes, kidnappings, pillagings, invading Kuwait for no reason, I don't think they were doing all that great. Just saying.
Okay. But we don't know for sure. So.
But I mean, history. But hold on. We kind of do because Saddam's history is Saddam's history, right? We can't argue the facts.
Well, Saddam was a bad man.
Right.
So.
Those are facts.
Iraq wasn't doing all that great.
Okay. So in other words, though, if Iraq wants us out of there, they pretty much have to revalue their currency because that will put them in better shape.
Or pay the Americans back for whatever President Seating wants them paid back for. Remember, President Trump only demanded paying them back for one Air Force base. He could have demanded them paying back the $23 trillion. He said that we had already paid into the government and the infrastructure of the country. $23 trillion, they don't have that money. They don't have that money for 10 years.
Right. Sound like to me they're in between a rock and a hard place if they want to.
Well, we can agree on that statement for real.
Absolutely.
I agree with you on that. We can disagree on the Saddam invasion, whatever. But they ain't got $23 trillion like I ain't got $23 trillion to my name right now either.
Right.
I can write a $23 trillion check, but it's going to bounce like a ball.
Hey, I think we're in a good spot, man.
Well, here's the thing. You can either buy into the media, you can buy into Iran's threats, or you can sit and be calm and simply read the news. Simply put.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we're in a good spot, man. So I'm looking forward to it too, though.
I'm very much looking forward to this quarter. This is a very good quarter.
Yeah, I think it is too. All right, my peoples.
Amen. Blessings and salutations, okay?
Take care, Anthony.
Likewise.
Great convo, man. Call back. Great convo.
Likewise. No doubt, brother.
All right, man.
Did you answer?
Shout out Maximum Play, man. Shout you out, baby. I can't see. It says, I keep wondering what was in the U.S. Embassy that would cause the highest leaders of ever. It's symbolism. Because you got to remember, Iran is a small country. So what's the very thing you're going to pick on first? Something smaller than you. Beating up that embassy to them was like overthrowing a small fort. You see what I'm saying? If they destroy that embassy, that's like spit in the face of America. That's technically U.S. soil. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if they destroy that embassy, which they couldn't have done, but when they did that, they named basically the 4 or 5 main culprits, going from Fayyad, Kazazi, whatever his name, Kazazel, Mohandas, the engineer. They listed them on Front Street. And these morons, these idiots, were just in a meeting the night before this, the couple nights before, with the leader of the biggest terrorist group in the world. Man.
Crazy. Thank you, Corey. Corey said Patreon's dope.
Thank you. You get into it, what you put out of it, man. It's not about coins, it's about education. It's about multiplying your education. I'm an educator. I'm here to put it in front of you. If you don't get out of it what you don't get out of it, it's because you didn't put in the effort.
Pac-Man said, I heard about the earthquake sign and God's not happy with Iran.
God's not happy with the world, simply put. It's not Iran, it's the world.
Thank you, Colin. It was a Ukrainian airline. Okay. I had heard it was Southwest. One of my coworkers said it was Southwest. I didn't hear that, but okay. I know, Sammy D. It did happen fast. All this did happen really fast.
But we knew it was going to happen. We said it was going to get bad before it got better. Now, we couldn't predict civil war, but you know what we did predict? That we knew something was going to happen that was going to strategically place the government the way it is now to something different. It is planned. It was planned. And guess what? There's a plan not only for Iraq, there's a plan for Iran, there's a plan for Venezuela, there's a plan for Northern Korea, there's a plan.
What do you think the meeting with Saudi Arabia and President Trump was about the other day?
Basically, we're going to use your land as a drop-off and a fuel-up spot because we're about to kick Iran's butt. And are you in? And of course they're in. But you got to remember that Iran is deeply embedded in places like Dubai, deeply embedded in other places that are financial districts like London. So when they were threatening to blow up places that were going to make them money, it made me confused.
Will Mahdi be in a hurry to name a new PM since he's still in place as the PM?
He won't name a new PM. Saleh will. And they will be in a hurry because they only have till Friday.
Sandy D said, I want to see how fast this is going to go.
I mean, it really all depends on how fast you get a PM and what religious sect the PM comes from. If it's a Shia, I think it's going to be a snail's process. If it's a Sunni, faster. A Christian, even faster. A liberal, even faster. It has to be one of those sects. It can't be a Shia.
Did someone order a plague of locusts? What does that mean?
I don't know. Sharon, if they don't have a new PM in place on Friday with the million-person march going on, then we'll see what the people are willing to take this to what level they're willing to do. With over 1,000 people dead, 7,000 or 8,000 injured or wounded, 100 people kidnapped and displaced. I mean, I don't know what the next level for them is. But I think it would be fast and sweeping.
As I said, the biggest gun wins.
And that's us. But you only got the biggest gun in a place that you can have a big gun. You can't have a big gun on their territory. It's Vietnam, dude. Think about it. If you were going to engage with war, you'd engage with war with someone in their own house or in a house that they don't know. Sheikh Ali just tweeted, protesters will drop the militias and force them to accept the national government and represent the people. That's all we can ask for. That's all you can ever ask for. Hey, everybody out there.
Hey, Eureka.
Thank you so much for taking this Wednesday out to talk to us.
As maximum play.
Is that it?
No more questions.
No more questions?
No more questions.
Well, that's the news. We answered everybody's questions. Shout out to Patreon. We're doing Patreon on Friday. We're going to do a Dong show. We're going to do some little bit of Dinar show. If breaking news happens, we get a PM, I will come back on YouTube, but I'll see you guys a little bit later on.
Alrighty.
All right? Shout out. Hey, check out the Spotify and check out Apple Podcasts for some and check out Daisy.
Daisy podcast.
Daisy got a podcast.
Daisy gang.
Daisy gang, puppy gang.
There she goes.
One more person.
One more time.
Hello?
Daisy.
Gang.
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 I wanted to catch up before you got off because I want to ask y'all, what the hell is the schedule now?
Patreon Monday and Fridays, YouTube on Wednesdays.
Okay, because I got things at Patreon and YouTube on Wednesday, so I was looking
information earlier and I couldn't find y'all.
Oh, I was gonna do a Patreon today about the consultations, but I'll do it tomorrow.
You
All
are?
right, no problem, bud. I just wanted to get it straight so I wouldn't be missing shows because I missed the one Monday and had to rewatch it.
No, I messed up today. I was supposed to do it and didn't do it. I'm gonna do it tomorrow.
When you gonna do that tomorrow?
All right, no problem, bud.
Another day sometime. Why?
How you gonna do that?
You can't set the link up for me from work? No?
Not with this new setup, no.
Oh, well then when you get home, I'll
Unless
do
you
it.
can try to do it from your phone or something.
I'll just do it when you get home.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll figure it out. We'll do it tomorrow then, man. I'm sorry, man.
No, it's all right, buddy. Ain't no problem. I just didn't want to miss no more.
No, you won't miss nothing, man. I appreciate you.
Because, I can't go without seeing my Miss April at least 3 times a week.
Oh my
Is
God.
that James?
It's the gang.
Hey, I was just asking about you. I was worried about you.
Because it was a long answer.
Yeah, I was worried about you actually. Hush, Daisy.
Oh, I'm here. I just missed y'all. That's all.
Yeah, I was like, I know you got that dangerous
stop
job.
for it? Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, that's it. We done.
Yeah, we done.
Okay. See y'all.
Bye, y'all.